Okay, so I see some new faces here, so I'm just going to introduce what hashtag Karo and Enterprise for everyone's info. Hashtag Karo is a project run by enterprise partners. We conduct workshops on a weekly basis, and we have had two physical events last year with a crowd more than 1,000 people in both of them. And now, as we have to move digitally because we can't have any physical events, we move digitally, and we have today's workshop taken by my mother. It's a very special workshop for me because first time a family member is taking this workshop, and it's going to be super fun for me because it's my mom who's taking this workshop. And I'm just going to introduce everyone a little about what my mom does, who she is, and what she does to me. So my mom, Rajita Gupta, is over there. Mom, wave. Huh. So my mom Rajita Gupta is a businesswoman, a homemaker, as well as a mother of me. So
And your sister.
And your sister.
and my sister and my sister. Double twin. My mother's business is mainly manufacturing cranes, and she does that while taking care of us at home. So she's kind of a multitasking person. And she's going to be taking today's session because I feel this is very apt for her. Because I feel every morning when we used to have school, every morning I used to see consistency in her waking up at 5 a.m. no matter what. Waking up at 5 a.m. or 5:30, making dabba, 6:30 waking me up, putting me to have a bath, 7 o'clock waking my sister up, putting her to have a bath, 7:30 getting us ready, and and just drop us down. And exactly at 9 p.m. sharp, she used to go. I used to see max consistency in her, and I used to think why and how does she get this consistency? Because now when I have to go to work, if I have to go to work at 9:30 also, it's so dynamic. I get up at 9 a.m. or 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. So uh, with this only, I'm going to give it to my mom about what she does checklist.
Make it no? Small.
हाँ अभी मैं अरे ट्रैक करो
Mom, you can go.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's really very nice for me to give this small presentation. In this lockdown period has really given me some time to think back and think what we all are doing. And whatever I have spoken to these guys at this enterprise and all that, and I found out that many things, these people have done wonders with those two festivals, physical festivals like Karo, and we added some. Like I just thought of like let me also share one of my very important checklist thing which they can they have used it also, and I found it very good. So what I want to share about is Dhruv, you can put the presentation.
Huh.
So we have just prepared.
Can everyone see it?
Yeah, it's started. This is about checklist. It's a very nice book which has inspired this session for me. It is a checklist manifesto. We are very the common term that we get to know when we type a checklist is a to-do list. But the checklist and a to-do list, the line in between is a very blur line. The to-do list is generally about what are the things that we want to do, but checklist is about the things that have to be done in a way, and it has to be done right. That's how the checklist goes about. Now, why a checklist? Now, checklist, we basically, the concept was formalized by Dr. Atul Gawande. He's an eminent surgeon in the US. And he had a very fixed belief that there are two types of errors: error of ignorance, error of incompetence. Now, what is an ignorance error? It is that we don't know about it. We don't know enough to do the task. And second error of incompetence is we make mistakes because we don't make proper use of what we know. And in today's world, failure is commonly, it is in this modern world, is really about error of incompetence. Knowledge is abundant, but incompetence because we don't make proper use of the knowledge. So it is this way that step by step the list on how the task has to be done was required. And why there is a failure in this modern world is because of the pressure, the routine tasks, and things become unnecessarily complicated, and we tend to make mistakes, we come under pressure. Then even the most competent person may forget to verify a very silly and it might be a very simple thing, but critical to the whole action. Like if like the project industry that we are in, we are following a very critical path. The two types of things that we do, we prepare safety sensors for our construction equipments, where the infrastructure is so big and the construction equipments working on uh, a very accident prone zone where the sensors have to perform 100%. Now for the sensors to perform 100%, they have to be manufactured accordingly. So we have a lot of specifications, standards, which we have to go through for these safety sensors to be manufactured. Second is our oil and gas industry, where it's again a very hazardous area where our cranes are put. Now, again, same thing, for the cranes to be manufactured, we have to follow very detailed steps and to the T, critical, no silly mistakes, no critical stuff to be overlooked. So this checklist, they instill in us a very high performance kind of thing, and it checks to ensure that we don't miss out on critical stuff at any point of time. And they make us very smart and methodical. So in a teamwork also, we have a checklist where we can, we communicate it with the team and it helps us. So the team can, everyone is performing all the parts and the path coming to the one single trunk of the tree. So, like, suppose if now you have to take example of flying a plane, and if the plane is to be flown, there are generally two pilots. So a checklist is being given, and they perform all the checks. They perform the checks, like brakes are released, instruments are set, the doors and the windows are closed, the elevator control is unlocked. Now, if any pilot is having some hours of flying 100 hours, this stuff seems very dumb, but to make anything, to fly a plane, anything like this would make a lot of difference. So with the checklist in hand, the pilots have flown the most complicated model of all these planes, even up to 1.8 million miles without a single accident. What we generally believe that our jobs are very complicated and we cannot make a checklist. But as we go through this session, we'll see how our faulty memory, our small distractions, how they, how they make our task very easily failable, and how we get ourselves into a danger zone. Now, faulty memory and distractions in what we engineers generally call is all or none process. So whether it is like, again, like flying an airplane, preparing to fly up airplane, evaluating a sick person at the hospital, if you just miss one key thing, you might as well have not made the effort at all. But with the checklist, we know okay, we will not be able to miss out anything. So that's where, checklist makes us smart, methodical, and makes us take decisions faster. Now, and checklist is actually, if you say, okay, we have prepared a strategy. So when we call it a strategy, you can say, okay, the strategy is your checklist, which you have made to maximize your results. So now we have a typical examples of some of our checklist at work. A simple checklist where we have, a new person has walked in and our HR department just takes in their CV, takes in the application, takes in the academic testimonials. Now, when this checklist over the years, we have kept on improving, adding in this. First, there were only 5 items in the checklist. Then now we have started collecting the identity proof, then the resignation from the previous, then the last 3 months salary. So like this checklist keeps on updating and helping the new joinee to be more comfortable, his PF number, his past PF number, and all these things are very important. Like the last item, 13th item, landline number and official email ID of the last company. Why this was important was the PF number, his last ESIC, his last medical insurance claim. So these were the HR had faced these problems. So we added them. Then we had these legal requirements checklist. Whether there is a factory license, whether there is an MPSCB, GST, then Provident Fund, ESSEC, then any other safety required, like what we require is the dock workers, the PESO licenses for electricals, Form 11. And lastly, what we require for our product is the most important thing is the API to see the monogram, because without which we are not able to sell it in the export market. So we have kept these as a legal requirements as mandatory. But this checklist is regularly updated. We keep on updating the certificate number, the effective dates, the expiration date. So whenever we run this checklist in periodical time, we come to know, okay, there is an effective date, there's an expiration date. So that helps us. Now, again, coming back to the HR, what we see the performance of the people. It's very difficult to, when a person comes to you and you say, okay, your salary will now from today be instead of 1,000, now we'll give you 10,000. But how? How are we going to gauge that? So what we have done is we have made a simple checklist, where we are saying the HR discipline, and where we are going to have his KRA and his KPI, monitored. So we had made this typical checklist for them where they are doing it in the checklist. Then finally, in our manufacturing unit, we have a checklist where we are checking the quality of the machined components, with whether there are sharp edges, what specifically if some component requires anything to be, specifically checked. So we give the standard on the top and we give the checklist of items, and we keep on adding on this as and when the standard is updated. Similarly, one more one, which when the products come in from the vendors, we check it for different processes, we validate it, whether this validation has been done, not done, whether it's been accepted, the observations, the remarks. So this is what the checklist is actually. Then now if we want to start making a checklist, like very simple one, what Dhruv started with was the morning routine one had. But if I have to make my checklist, first I have to set the goal. I have to set the goal of my checklist, and I have to know, okay, this is my final thing, and I want to achieve it to say close to 100%. I don't want it nothing to be less than that. Then I make simple checkpoints which I know will be understood by everyone and by me also to follow it at any given time. Then I structure it logically in the sequence and I continue updating it as and when. But whenever I'm making it, I have to get it verified. Now, a simple checklist, the most easy to use, and it can be in our homes, in our office trips, and also in our shower, where we want to have a nice checklist where we have. The important thing is, if we want to make a long lasting checklist, we have to first write it down. We write it down and we do the drill. We try it, we verify it. While trials, we come to know that certain points are not even, achievable. We just, when we are writing it, we just make a list. We try it and then we sequence it out and we verify it. We actually have a drill about it. And then when we find some errors, we debug those errors and we reprint the checklist. This helps us to make a checklist. Now, if we have to have a typical checklist of kids' clean room, now we want our kids always to, clean the room. But if you ask them, have you cleaned the room? Yes, mama, we have done it. But how? How have you done it? What have you done? Okay, I didn't just put away the stuff, but yes, I made my bed. So I have done, the clean room is done. Okay, so let's prepare a checklist. So we made a checklist and we saw that it was being followed, but not with great interest. So just to make it interesting, we made another checklist with the kids and it looked like this. The moment we went for a checklist like this, the kids were happy to make it. oh, the picture is there, and we could see that the success of making a checklist with these pictures and making it interesting, making it more colorful rather than making it boring. And it helped us. It helped us to make it. The picture only showed him, okay, my next step is now, first I have to make my bed, then I have to pick up my toys, put my shoes away, throw the garbage, put my books, place the dirty clothes in the hamper, and I then leave the room. So like this is a
Rachita,
checklist.
can
Yes. Yes,
can
sure,
I say
sure.
something?
Yes.
I think it's such a fantastic thing that you're showing us how you made that previous checklist for kids' room cleaning into this little visual and fun thing. Because I was just going to ask you that as a mother who has to handle two really creative kids, how do you motivate them to follow a checklist? Because making a checklist is pretty cool and easy, but how does one even motivate someone to kind of look at the checklist and follow it?
Yes. So basically, Adi, it is more interesting. Dhruv, could we go to this slide of that easy to use in the shower? I started using more of cartoons and, to make them use it. The cartoons is one thing which really interests kids. So I started putting a cartoon like when he's leaving the room and putting them, at places where they need a checklist in their bookshelves and places, bookshelves, their toys, on their toy boxes. I put the cartoons, okay, whether they have kept the toys in proper order or they have just dumped it in the box. So to make it interesting and to make children or people use, you have to make a checklist which looks interesting first, and they, and you have to get to make them to create it. Once you create one checklist, it interests them when you have to search for some nice pictures, colors, cartoons. So generally what I have made them do is also follow some color codes. Like um, if you see, like keep your clothes in blue color. So if there is a blue color on the checklist, they understand, okay, this is for my clothes. I've given them some color bar and put them, okay, books are in green color. So if anything they find green, okay, now the checklist is only coming to a green color, they understand, okay, this is my books thing and I have to do it now, I have to do that. So they immediately, and the overview of the checklist only, they get it, okay, yellow color is my bed, red color is my studies, blue color is my clothes, green is my books. So just the sight of the checklist, it makes them make it, use it, and it is made interesting for them to use it. The checklist, using the checklist, and now it is such an habit to them, okay, they just see the colors and they just move around. I mean, I don't have to, like, simple thing in the morning when Dhruv has to instruct the maid if I'm not in town or something, I'm out to work. He has made a very interesting, a book with pictures of all the food that he likes, and he has he simply marks it and he leaves it. The cook comes, she makes it, and it is done. Like, and now they've learned so much. Like, he's made that book. He just he doesn't even tell her, he just puts sticky notes on that with figures, and sometimes when figures are not available, he puts 4 colors of sticky notes. I want this for 4 people, so he puts 4 pink sticky notes. So he doesn't even write anything. It is just pictorial. And she's so happy about it that he doesn't have to instruct and there is no mistake. It's not that she's come and she doesn't know, okay, what I have to do. So Dhruv has devised this very beautiful thing. So that makes it interesting for them, and no job is left out. It's completed. And the best part of the checklist, what they do is, both the kids, they make a checklist, and just before starting anything, they will, they'll have a good huddle type of a team huddle type of a thing. They will just come up, both of them together. Okay, now this is what we have to do. So both of us, let us just come together, and they will read out the checklist with names. So, okay, this one, you do this, you do this, you do this. So by the end of the thing, the checklist is done and the work is completed even in lesser time than what it actually requires. So this is how I have made them use a checklist. Now this is what shows that checklist is not a to-do list. A to-do list is simply, this is how we got the line thicker, which was blurred in the first slide. The checklist is a to-do list is just a list of tasks where you'll write, okay, I have to go and I have to go to the market, I have to go to the laundry, I have to, you just put those things. But in checklist, you are going to put, okay, if I am going to the laundry, I have to get these things done by him. The checklist and to-do list is not comparable at all. Yes, on the Google and all searches, you will get the checklist. Like if you put a checklist, you'll still get a to-do list. But no, it is two different things. Checklist helps you to get things done rightly. And to-do list is just your list where you want to do these things, which you may or may not even complete it. But checklist is one thing you will complete it. Because it's a checklist. You have to do the things rightly in that fashion. So it has to go that way. Like if I have to put this checklist of cleaning the room in the pictorial form, I know they will follow the sequence. It's not a to-do list. It's a sequence of things. They have to get it done right. They have their room clean. So it will be make your bed, pick up your toys, put the shoes away, throw away the garbage, and the pictures are in the same colors of the color coding, so they know it by now. Okay, this is what I'm getting it done. So this is how checklist is completely, it's a very thick line. The line seems blurred when we are standing far, but now that we know, okay, the checklist and the to-do list, the line is a very thick line, a bold line.
So are you saying something like a to-do list may change like every day? I may have a new set of to-do tasks.
Yes.
But the checklist will kind of remain the same.
Yes.
For quite some time.
Yes. A to-do list, like if you are leaving your house today, you will, or if you are if you are having a meeting, in the meeting you'll write down, okay, this is my to-do list in the meeting. Like you want to discuss this. You'll have 5 points. Today I want to discuss the commercial part. Today I want to discuss the effects of COVID, and you'll have that type of a list. But checklist, you will have your meeting right from the beginning, from step 1 till step 10th, where you will see that, okay, I want to complete it.
Right. So I'm kind of reminded of like the pilot of a plane. They have this checklist, and every time before they take off, sometimes you hear them kind of running, saying check. Yes. And I'm even reminded of, sometimes when one of those rare occasions when I, take on some house cleaning work. Actually, it's not rare, I do it fairly often. Then my wife kind of always reminds me to clean that one particular cupboard or that one particular corner that always gets left out. And I'm kind of thinking that's also kind of a checklist. She's kind of making sure that I don't forget that cupboard.
Yes. Yeah, the thing is that here checklist is one thing why it's important is we always remember it orally and we think, yes, we remember everything and we have done everything. Now, like if your wife is not around, I'm sure you'll skip the cupboard cleaning. But if had she put the checklist in the room behind the door or somewhere where you'll just see the checklist and you will follow, and she will not have to, you'll not have to please her after that, after missing it out. No gifts. So that's how you can use a checklist. Like just before leaving the house, your main door could have a checklist. Switch off the gas, switch off the lights, lock the cupboard and close the windows. So that checklist, which is very critical, crucial, take the keys. So you will not miss out. Take the house keys, take the car keys, and you will go about it. So
Rajita, in your industry, you all make cranes, right? And cranes are kind of life critical equipment.
Right.
So how in the work that you do, I mean, managing a company which makes such kind of sensitive equipment, can you share with us a little idea of how checklists actually come into play on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, we have almost about 523 checklists in our office from the right from morning, from the time people start coming in. So they have a checklist of like, if I have to give a simple example, when they start with their, even when they start with their PC, they have a checklist, like, okay, starting my PCs first. By the time the PC is starting, they have a checklist of theirs. What did they complete yesterday? They have to see their yesterday's work and what they have planned for today. So they have to get those documents up. So that's how they start their day, with one checklist. Then when they come to their task, they have another checklist. Like if they are making a drawing, so what are the things in the drawing that even the draftsman who has done something yesterday, and today if a new person has to take up a job, same task, because he is absent or something, there is no need for any communication, handover, okay, I was not there, nothing like that. It is just it, where the pen was left, it is picked up from there. So they go that way, because every step of our designing, our manufacturing is very critical. We have a lot of specifications in place where we have to follow. Like even in a mass production industry, where components are made with high precision, they have a full line of production where they cannot disturb it even for a minute. It costs. So that's where a checklist is there, where so that there are no bottlenecks on any machine, no maintenance breakdowns. So we have checklist every stage. We have now, checklist need not be in the form of points and check boxes. We have certain processes. We have flow charts. So we have made those checklists very interesting. And sometimes we have found that the teams, they want this cartoons type. Like what I said, what I did with my children, I have done it there also, and they enjoy it. Now it's like this, okay, 523 of those checklists are the checklists what we generally have, but they have made their own checklist, almost about 250 of them, in detail with all these pictures. So now they are so excited about it, and they
Wow.
come up with everything complete. And I am so confident that even if I have to call them from outside and I have to tell them, okay, the customer is demanding this, within about say about 7-8 minutes, I get the answer. Okay, yes, we can go ahead. No, we can't go ahead. These are the points which we need clearance from them. So even if I'm in a meeting and I'm discussing with the customer, because of this checklist method, we get data that quickly. They immediately upload it. They know, okay, this is the data, the pros and the cons, and we have a sheet, colored sheet, the red sheet with cons, and pros will have a blue side, two sides of the sheet. So when I get it from my Dropbox and in front of the customer, I immediately know, okay, I have to see the blue side and I have to get the clearance from him. The cons are for me, for my commercial activities, which I have to inform him. So that's how, it's simple, and without any hiccups, without any speed breakers, we just go on. And this is what we have applied in our works. Adi?
I think he's facing an internet issue. Let's move on.
Yes. Okay. So we have to now continue. The checklist, like what we said, is not a to-do list. A checklist, if we have, let's try and create our own checklist. Like if you have a party at our house, if you have to make a simple checklist, so we make a checklist. I have to get the catering guys, I have to get the crockery in place and all like that. Suppose if I have to take the second one, a meeting to conduct. Now if I have my meeting checklist, I will have in that, what the first things I require. I require an agenda. Then I have a list of people to be informed. I need the stationery to be there. I need the beverages to be there, the water, the tea, the coffee. Then I need the departments to be informed with their updates. Then I need them to have the presentation they have got. We finally, the most important part of this checklist becomes the minutes of the meeting, the review of the previous meeting, and the review of the upcoming meeting schedule. This is where we summarize our checklist. If these things are not in the checklist, the meeting happens, the presentation is done, all people, they have their nice hot cold tea, coffee, and it's over. Next time we'll meet again. Yes. But if the minutes are minuted, if there's a checklist, okay, we followed the meeting schedule checklist, whether the minutes have been made, whether the reviews have been made, whether the upcoming meeting schedules have been met, and it becomes easy. And when we meet for a meeting checklist, again, like I said, we all, when we are there, 10 people of us, we first have the communication. We read out the checklist, we give our names. Dhruv, can you go to the next slide? This is what is important before a meeting or before any checklist actually performs. Because checklist main function is the communication. It is people who come together. Each one reads his checklist. The team has to perform a task, but the checklist is individual for each one. Each one's role is different. So each one is reading the checklist. And when we call out our names, actually the most important thing in the checklist is we introduce ourselves. And when we introduce ourselves, it's a starting strategy to foster a teamwork. And we call it a team huddle. You're huddling together as a team to get to achieve something very right, and the most critical thing to be done smoothly. So this is what is most important, the communication of the checklist, which will help people that yes, we come together. And when we introduce each other, then the next time when something is happening in a presentation, we have we have pointers, okay, from somebody, a suggestion or a pointer, that yes, we have to do this work also. Or if we are stuck up during a presentation, we can ask the other teammate by his name, we know him, we have been introduced. So the chances increase by almost 40-45% that the person will tell you, yes, sir, we are going wrong here, we are going right here. Or if we have a query, the person will speak up. So this communication, this checklist is important for that communication, which makes a meeting successful. That's the most important part of this aspect of a checklist. It makes a team. It makes all the individuals who have come together and make up a team. And we call it a huddle when we all come together for a meeting. We generally don't call it a meeting. So we say, let's meet for a huddle. And, people are interested to come. And if you tell them it's a meeting, they are like, oh God, another one. But when we say, okay, we are huddling up, they all are, they rush towards the huddle room. So that's how we have made a little more interesting, and that has given us really far more better results, about 80% of better results, rather than having, so like our HR team has come up with a very nice idea. They don't say memos. They say, okay, I'm reminding you. And they remind that if the reminders are more, then it's a memo. Huh? So that's how they have, achieved a lot of things. Our iteration has gone down, people turnover, and the enthusiasm has gone up. We get crazy new ideas and how we can complete the work. With less resources, more resources, that doesn't matter to them. For them, the work is important. So this is how we have achieved this. So this is the most important thing about checklists.
That's really fascinating, Rajita, because you mentioned before that it's kind of, you involve them and they've created their own checklist. So you're saying that it's kind of become a culture in the
Yes.
organization and probably also in the home. And I
Yes.
think that is such an important point you're bringing out.
Yes. So I would also like to just mention that checklist is not only at work, but at home also. Dhruv, could you go on the create your own checklist? So a simple colored pictured checklist where you want your kitchens to be clean. I have used this work checklist at home to a very large extent, since we both are traveling, Rupesh and myself, all the time, and so we have made a lot of checklists. If we are going to have guests at home, we are going to have a party, or we have to go for a party, and the back end of the working, like to clean your kitchen, we have made interesting pictorial, sequential this thing, so nobody makes a mistake. Okay, the kitchen is clean, and the sight of it, we know, yes, even the person who are handling, the staff who's handling, oh yes, this is good, this is good. And now, in fact, the staff also sometimes, they come up with new pictures and all that because they are using the mobiles and all. So they also come up with new pictures and they give it to me. Okay, please, you put this picture. It is very interesting. Okay, done. So making it interesting and making it with them and making it a huddle. These are the key points of the checklist, which is making it it's changing the whole environment. Even the lockdown, like even during the lockdown, the quarantine period, we have had a checklist like household chores during quarantine. So we are not having, any discussions or arguments on who's going to do what. But it is, next morning everybody gets up and things are definitely done. We get Dhruv makes nice salads and all for us. So it's done. Like the quarantine period is over.
Rajita, we have a question that's come in that can you share your home checklist with us so that we can create our own? Or maybe
Yeah,
some
so
thoughts about how you do that.
I think we have. I think we can share some of them right now. If I think, yeah, I'll just ask someone. I'll ask my sister to get it. You can share some. Are there any other questions? I think someone had raised a hand in the middle. If anyone has any questions, they can type it
Yeah.
in the chat box or speak.
There was a very interesting point that came from Mishri that checklists are like put us on autopilot.
Yes.
I thought that was really interesting.
Yes. It is. It's a very nice statement. We go on autopilot mode. Even the pilots go on autopilot once they follow the checklist.
How to have a very systematic, sir, how to
Ruby
have a very
Auntie,
systematic
uh,
checklist?
yes, Ruby Auntie, I'll share some of my home checklists with you.
That's an
How,
interesting question.
yeah.
How do we implement the checklist?
How do we implement it?
Mom,
Once
open the
made.
chat box. Open the chat box.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's from Nena. Yes, Nena, we have to implement the checklist. We have to make it interesting. One thing, and you have to make them make a checklist and make a short one to start with. And as and when during the week when you're verifying it, it will definitely be implemented.
Also, Rajita, you were telling me a couple of days back that put your checklist in a place where you can see it right in front of you every day.
Yes.
So that's also probably a good way to implement it. It was a really good point. That just put it in front of you where you can see it.
Yes, like if you see restaurants which are successful, I've been to one of them. It was in France, and I had seen a very famous restaurant, and the owner, the chef, she was a marvelous lady. And I asked her, okay, how come I've been coming here for the last 5 days? I have not seen the taste change. And I requested her for a veg food, and she gave me such a wonderful thing for 5 days. She gave me the same, I liked something. I was very choosy about having only 2, 3 items. I said, no, I don't want to try anything. But for the 5 days, the taste was same. There was no difference. I said, how did you achieve this? She said, come inside. She took me to her kitchen, and you won't believe it. There was a recipe of my name written on it, and and the proportions and everything. They didn't miss a single step. And I said, okay, boss, this is what it is. So it's a checklist. The recipe for us is a checklist because in the recipe we write down everything in detail so that we don't miss out. Even the last garnishing of the dish is written over there. Place 2 leaves of mint on it before serving. So that's your checklist is completed. So that's how it has helped. I just want to share one checklist. I'm just putting it up. This is the one made by Dhruv. This is the menu, which he has pictures. And here is the number of people going to have.
The first page. The first page. It's on the first page, Amma.
Yeah, yeah. No better. Whether to call, not to call. You know, and number of people there for 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is, we just put the sticky notes. If I am in a meeting, I just put sticky notes on this and I leave so that she doesn't call me up.
We had quite a few people asking you to share your home checklist. Maybe after the call, you could share a couple of samples and examples on the Facebook group and people can kind of have a look at them there.
Yes, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that. By in some time, I'll put some so that we
Just
can use
share
it.
the Facebook link where we have these workshops and where we are going to share about the workshop so that everyone can see. If anyone wants to join that, it would be really cool for future follow-up. So I'll just share that.
Yes, there is one important point from Pooja. We become so used to and addicted to that checklist that it becomes impossible to work without that. How do we overcome that? No checklist is ever going to be completed, Pooja, because you'll always keep on improving on it. So addiction is going to be making a checklist, not working without a checklist.
True, Rajita. I agree to that. But I've seen people then who cannot work without unless a job is there on the checklist. The mind stops working.
Yes, those are the people with whom you will want to work with actually, because it's better to have them to complete your teamwork. People who work with a checklist are safer.
That is true. Thank you.
I think this was a crazy session. We have more 2 minutes for any more questions or answers. If anyone has any questions.
There's a question that's coming up. Yeah, please unmute and ask.
Rajita,
Yes.
so for a person like me who's so creative, checklists have been like a map. The moment I make a checklist, I sort of block my brain and my creativity goes down. But I like the idea of what you suggested, that make my checklist creative. So at least I don't lose my creative brain there.
Yes.
And that was one point I wanted to bring up, because I had a friend who had such a stringent checklist for the day, minute to minute, that if she missed out one thing, she would go on in a huge stress. So just to add on to what you are saying, that the checklist needs to be very simple to begin with. Instead of making our checklists so difficult for ourselves that then at the end of the day you're not able to achieve, like those are the to-do lists.
Right.
So the difference between the checklist and the to-do list is something that I come across very strongly for me personally, because I had a tendency to add on 40 things in my to-do list, which also sort of became a checklist. So now the idea is to really make my checklist very simple, so I'm not kicking myself at the end of the day.
Right. Thank you, Ruby Aunty. Thank you very much. It was important. Yes, creativity is not the purpose of the checklist. So a creative person can make a more creative checklist with its creativity. And in the checklist also, you can just put the task that needs to be performed by others, where your creativity is not blocked.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mom,
Share your house ka checklist to make life easy for us.
Yes, yes, definitely.
I don't have to apply my brains there. We've already done it. I'm going to suggest you do a session for SVP.
Oh.
Mom, we have
Sangeeta, well done.
Thank you, Ravi Bhaiya. I hope
Good
I think
one.
I've answered some of your questions about
Yeah,
manufacturing
yeah, yeah.
setup.
Definitely.
Mom, we have another question.
Yes.
Can you give a few examples of where we can implement checklists at work that are common in all kinds of places?
Okay, one, I had put up the HR and legal requirements. They are generally, very common checklist, and one of them is from the finance department also, like payable GST, your monthly returns, your monthly balance sheet, your monthly profit and loss statements. So those are the commonly used checklist. But again, that goes from enterprise to enterprise, from institution to institution differently, because each one has their own tax structure, their own expense module. So it's basically, if you start with every the task that first with what you are doing, if you make your own checklist, then you will realize that, okay, I need these inputs. Then that person also requires a checklist, because he's not giving you the complete data. So first start with yourself, make your own checklist first, and the moment you start making your checklist, this number of 523 that we have, those checklists we didn't reach in a day. We took almost 5 years to come to 523. So it had it costs us a license, so like it keeps on developing. Now we have another 200 on trial, so 200 odd we have on trial, so they will come into force also. So this keeps on changing. It's a very dynamic situation, and the checklist is also very, very dynamic. But you should always start with your tasks first. The moment you make your own checklist first, you see things will fall in place. The others, you will know what you have to take from the other person, and the other person's checklist is already ready, and that way the chain just goes on. It's a chain reaction. One
Mom,
person makes it and the other person just
Mom, someone has raised, Khushbu has raised her hand.
Yeah, yeah. You say what you say. The one person makes the checklist, another person checklist is ready. Okay, but
Yes.
in the process there are different employees. So the checklist for different employees in the continuous work. Suppose one person has to finish one task, the next person has to take ahead of that.
Yes.
In between, suppose a person fails,
uh,
not a dedicated staff or something like that. So
yes.
what is the chain reaction?
No, the chain reaction is not that. When you make your checklist, you know, okay, you want this input and this output. Yes, your checklist is completed that. When your output is over, so you have completed your checklist very critically. But yes, after your task, if somebody else is there, and if you are the reviewer of that task, then your checklist will have a checklist for him, where he will be following a checklist. He will, in the checklist, errors are possible, but you will eliminate them, in the first instance. He has not done it today, okay. But tomorrow, once your checklist is updated, he will perform the task. Because as Pooja pointed out, many people just don't think. And if given a checklist, they are very happy. So people like this are more happy with the steps and checklist, rather than you making them think, or making them, telling them that, okay, this is your work. Like what I was telling you about cleaning the kitchen. When the moment I put pictures over there, the kitchen was clean, because I was not communicating to them. Because when I tell them, oh, today my head is paining, my leg is paining, something is paining. But when there is a picture, there is no communication. It's very clear. This has to be cleaned. So that's how the person could, a non-performing person starts performing.
Because sometimes it may be reverse reaction also. There's a hidden talent in the staff or something. How it will come out if it's a checklist?
That will come with the checklist. I'm telling you, when you make checklist interesting, and when you make them do it, first they will follow it for a few days, and then when they start giving you ideas, you have to you just sit with them. First checklist is just very boring one, but after that they become interesting, and it becomes their interest to make it, because now they are not getting any scolding, they are not getting any salary cut. So they know, okay, checklist is one way where I can increase my salary, not decrease my salary. So they are very happy about it.
I think it's time to wrap up, and this has been a lovely session. Thank you so much, Mom, for
Thank you very much, Adi,
giving
and the enterprise team.
Thank you so much, Mom, for giving everyone the gyan you give me every day.
Thank you
Well
so
said.
much, Rajita. Dhruv, it's really interesting, and I would like to pass on to others also. It was a wonderful session, and
Thank
that's
you.
why I now I can think how Rajita can do multitasking.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Adi, thanks.
If anyone wants to know
Thank
about,
you so much.
yeah,
We still have a few minutes. It'll be wonderful to hear from a few people what has been like a key takeaway for them. Like for me, I think what you said, that checklists are even a communication tool to keep the team together, was really interesting. So it would be wonderful to hear from a few more people on the call what has been something that really strikes them. Please feel free to unmute and share.
Manisha Bhabhi, I think she'll be having a good amount of sharing.
Yes.
I don't think.
Hello. Thank you a lot, Rajita. The thing that struck me was you put pictures and the things are done. You don't have to write. Just put the pictures and post a thing. It really is a very good idea. Very nice. And we'll be waiting for your checklist samples.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lalita Bhabhi,
yeah,
you have a very good checklist for a club day. Can you share it? Can you just tell us about it?
And I don't have now.
No, but you have it in your memory, Bhabhi, because you're working that way. I mean, Lalita has been able to give us a wonderful, flawless programs because she has her own way of working. Bhabhi, that's also a checklist, huh?
Good you told me, otherwise I didn't know.
It's a strategical checklist. Can you just share us one of your thing?
Really, I don't know now. Like it's too impromptu thing. I mean,
maybe you can
really
share it
don't
on
know
the
how
group later. It would be wonderful.
Yeah, later. Yes. That's a good idea. Yes, definitely later.
Yes, Manisha Bhabhi, you were speaking.
I started thinking, where can I use the technique?
Auntie, you are not audible. If anyone wants to share, we can hear when sharing. Auntie? I think
network issue is there.
Yeah, I think she has a network issue. So I think let's wrap up with this only. I think it's been a lovely session. Thank you so much all for being here. And I've sent the link of the group on the chat box if you search for it. And if anyone wants to know more about the upcoming session. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for making this subject so simple and fun to understand.
Thank you. I would like a feedback from everybody about the session also and how we can improve on it more.
Feedback right now. Hello.
Yes.
So the best part, what I see was Dhruv's food.
Yes.
So it becomes it's a hobby which is converted to that, I think. I know he's a good foodie, so he properly used that in the various forms and all, the picture and all.
It was really so fascinating to see.
I think let's wrap up then.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks, Dhruv and Rajita, for making this happen. And we look forward to seeing some of your checklists on the Facebook group so that we can all learn from it.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.